And here we are looking for relative maxima and minima. So the relative part is indicating that, let's take a maximum for example. A relative maximum does not have to be the maximum value or the highest point of the entire graph of the function. It just needs to be the highest point in its area or in its region relative to the points around it. So we get a relative maximum or minimum at places where the graph changes from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing or increasing or decreasing to constant or vice versa. So anytime we have a change in the increasing, decreasing, or constant status of the graph, we get a relative maxima or minima. Now here we see that happening a couple of times. Our graph starts off increasing until we hit x equals -1 there, and then it begins to decrease, and then it starts to increase again after we get to x equals 1. So that point where we change from the increasing to decreasing, so we get that little high point there, that's a relative maximum. So we have the relative maximum at x equals -1. So this question kind of had two parts. I'm basically answering the second part first. So it says I'm answering that first part, kind of writing it in the second spot. It says to locate values at which the function has any relative maxima or minima. So it has a relative maximum at x equals -1. And then as we move along there, we get that low point, or it changes from decreasing to increasing. So that's a relative minimum there at x equals 1. And the second part of the question says, what are these relative maxima or minima? So what is that relative maximum? That's simply asking for the y-coordinate of that point there, which maybe appears to be a little bit less than half of that box there. So since these boxes are counting by 5s, we'll go ahead and call that a 2 for the y-coordinate. And if we look at the relative minimum, again, it's a little bit less than halfway down there, so we'll call that -2. So the relative maximum itself is 2, so that's the value of the function, or the y-coordinate. It occurs at x equals -1. The relative minimum itself is -2. It occurs at x equals 1.